Yields. I now recognize Mr. Gimenez, the gentleman from Florida and the chair of Transportation and Maritime Security Subcommittee, for his 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I find it amazing that our Democrat colleagues from across the aisle are always throwing money at the issue. Always, it's money, 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 except that the real culprit here has been over 64 actions taken by the executive branch that actually caused the problem at the border. Not once have I ever heard any of my Democrat colleagues ask for why don't we start constructing the wall again? Why don't we reinstitute Remain in Mexico policy, which actually will take care of about 70% of the problem that we've had. Mr. Mayorkas, I believe that in fiscal year 21 we had a record number of encounters at the border, and I think only surpassed by fiscal year 22 when we had another record encounter at the border, and then surpassed again in 2023 when we had another record for encounters at the border. Do you expect another record in 2024?
Congressman, I strongly encourage Congress to pass the Senate's bipartisan legislation, which would make a significant difference and advance our security interests at the southern border and the northern border.
Have you ever asked the President to reconsider some of his 64 actions that have led to the crisis that we have right now at the border?
Congressman, we are facing the largest displacement of people around the world, including in our hemisphere.
Have you ever asked the President of the United States to reconsider any of the 64 executive actions that he has taken to address the crisis at the border?
Congressman, I am not familiar with the 64 to which you refer, and I assure you that they are not the cause of the largest displacement of people in the world, including in our hemisphere, and to include, of course, a significant number of people fleeing the authoritarian regime in Cuba, which both you and I have personally experienced.
I think that authoritarian regime has been in place for about 60 years. And so it doesn't make sense to me that somehow now, okay, they're all fleeing the authoritarian regime at Cuba. You and I both left that authoritarian regime a long time ago. So again, are you familiar with the President's executive order to stop the construction of the wall on the southern border?
I most certainly am.
Have you advised him that maybe it's a good idea to start construction again on the southern wall and on the wall on the southern border to stop the flow of illegal immigration?
Congressman, I do not believe it is.
Okay. Thank you. I mean, I only have certain time, so thank you. You said no. Have you ever talked to the President about reinstituting Remain in Mexico policy, which many experts have said probably will take care of 70% of the problem? Have you ever talked to him about that?
Congressman, the Remain in Mexico program was implemented in January of 2019, I believe. I believe in 2019, the number of encounters at the southern border exceeded those in 2018 by almost 100%, if I have my data correct.
Yeah, but the number of encounters in 2020 were far less than the number of encounters in 2021. Would you say that's correct?
Congressman, if you'll recall what occurred in 2020, 2 points. Number one, the COVID-19 pandemic. Number two, Remain in Mexico, in order to implement it, we rely upon the sovereign nation of Mexico's agreement. Mexico has unequivocally stated it will not support any implementation of Remain in Mexico, the success of which is quite dubious.
Interesting point. The only reason they won't support they did support the Remain in Mexico policy, and then you unilaterally withdrew it. It wasn't because of Mexico asking you if you'd stop it. You just did it. All right. So I only have about 56 seconds left. We're currently witnessing total chaos and disorder in Haiti. The U.S. has already begun to evacuate citizens and is collaborating with regional partners to address the violence. Is the United States patrolling or admitting Haitians into the state of Florida and elsewhere that have not received a viable background check?
Congressman, we screen and vet individuals before paroling them into the United States.
Thank you, and I yield my time back.
Gentleman yields.